So this 10th assembly we don't come now. Problem not the start because they say make the zone and go this side, make the zone and go this side, make the zone and go this side. But the people they vex say 9th assembly they not recognize them well for the zoning formula. So what I say this time now our turn. Now we give the president enough votes. So what I say no. Southeast they not even give president votes. But we now say no. This topic we will discuss here for this program this morning. Make everybody hear the parts of two young people. The one with the here for studio with me, named now Honorable OGBONNA, in a politician, in a APC member. And another person will join us too via Skype, he named now CHIMA Christian, in a political analyst. And anything we concern our country, Nigeria, the boy they make sure say input mouth. And they put mouth to make sure say talk the mind of the people. CHIMA Christian, they on Skype, on standby. And Imang OGBONNA, they here with me for studio. Bros, good morning.
Good morning, sir. My country people, I salute you now. Una good morning, no.
Now Imang OGBONNA be this for studio, and the person with this Skype, his name now CHIMA Christian. As the program they go on, we go begin the year things, deep things. One day, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here.
Now CHIMA Christian be that. But we'll start with CHIMA. I seen there so for Skype. I seen the look also for Skype. National Assembly matter. Politics matter for Nigeria. Now, personal interest or it's supposed to be national interest? CHIMA Christian.
Well, democracy as it works in Nigeria seems to have its own formula. Like you rightly asked, it's supposed to be national interest, but unfortunately, what we see happening in Nigeria is that we have politics of personal interest, where the interest of the ordinary man is not factored in. For instance, I keep hearing about zoning. And it's unfortunate the kind of discussions we're having in Nigeria. When you're about to have the leadership of the National Assembly, I've not had any of these candidates profess solutions on insecurity, for instance. I have not had any of the contestants talking about how they can use the instruments of the National Assembly to amend specific sections of our Constitution. I have not had how they use instruments of their office to regulate Nigeria the more, to deal with those contentious issues around, for instance, the debt profile. I have not had their arguments or their solutions about Nigeria's debt profile. I have not had their arguments or solutions or how they can use the instruments of the legislative arm of the government to help the executive arm of the government reduce things like inflation, do their oversight functions well. What you hear is that it is zoned to this region or that region or the other region. And by this zoning, they are not talking about the ordinary people of the region, because like you would know, an average Southeasterner buys his loaf of bread at 1,000, same with an average Northerner, same with an average Southerner, or same with an average Niger Deltaner. So you now ask yourself, what does it mean, even if the average Southerner is the president of the Senate, does that mean that Southerners will automatically start buying their loaves of bread 200 naira, or does that mean that they will start automatically buying petrol at 100 naira, or does that mean that they will start automatically enjoying 24-hour power supply? So what does it profit the ordinary man? So as of today, discussions we are having around the leadership of the National Assembly has nothing to do with the ordinary man. What I hear is self-aggrandizing politicians making moves, sword fights, and all of those things to retain themselves in office. So when they are talking about zoning, they're not talking about how they can better the lot of the common man. They are talking about, if I knock that person out, if I say let it zone it to the south, I have a better chance at it. If they zone it to my region, I have a better chance. So they're looking for strategies to win the elections, not necessarily strategies to perfect the governance.
CHIMA Christian, also your own matter, it always come from a different side where people need to look from. What thing they talk about, they say, CHIMA talks, the people they clamor for these positions now. Things will concern the Southeasterners, they carry for head and they carry this leadership position. That one at CHIMA. We'll still come back to you, CHIMA, but we'll come here to Honorable Imang OGBONNA there for studio. Imang, this zoning formula, what you see is supposed to be the requirements to take, select, or choose people we go represent us for the National Assembly. What is supposed to be the requirement we're supposed to take use?
Thank you, my brother. The election has come and gone. Our country people should understand that during politicking, people are given opportunity to play to the side they wish to play, and now come back as a nation because we are one, very indivisible. We are going nowhere. We are Nigerians. And because we are from one family, we must find a way to accommodate every Nigerian, especially in the leadership position. That is why I think the issue of who gave the highest vote or where you are coming from should not be an issue to discuss in a national point like this.
But if you check well, they say who walk suppose eat. Abi?
Yes.
So if me now, some people like you from Southeast, some people they say Southeasterners, they don't give presidents enough, they don't give APC enough votes because they get presidential candidates. So the area now will be say, come give more votes. So when they collect from those areas, give people enough, give more votes. So now they ask, what thing you feel say we suppose use? And I'm just say, okay, now for inclusiveness, I mean, now for waiting. What we suppose feel say they suppose use as a party?
As a country today, we're going through a healing process.
Okay.
That must be a very paramount point to consider in the sharing of leadership position, especially in the 10th National Assembly. What happened in the last National Assembly, in the 9th National Assembly, I don't think we should be allowed to play again in this 10th National Assembly. However, given number of votes that came from the Southeast, you don't expect a family or a people that their own is running to give the entire vote. We actually did our best. If you come to like Imo as a state, Governor Hope Uzodimma, who is a frontliner on the campaign for the winning of APC, the governor did so well. I call him Evangelist Hope because he carried it upon himself to tell our people what to do. And we did our best. The issue you must understand that what happened in the last election was a situation where people wanted change. And they tried to vote across the point they feel their own is also running. But that should not be considered in sharing the position of the leadership of the National Assembly. If you ask me today, the North has a fair share, just like the Southwest. The Southeast should be given an opportunity to be part of a decision point of Nigeria today.
But if I ask you now before I go back to CHIMA, it's okay for the Southeast. We get Ojus Okalu, we get Osita Zunazu, we get this woman, princess from House of
Miriam Onoha.
Miriam. That's okay, may they choose one person from the Southeast now. May they give position because North Central still there. North Central said they never get Speaker of the House of Reps before. Some area, Northwest, they expect because they give highest votes, they're supposed to give the Senate President. So it's okay for, as a Southeasterner, which person I feel say, okay, let's play this game now, we bring our best. Who you feel say best fits?
If you ask me, the best among the best should be Princess Miriam Onoha.
Why you talk so?
From record, in her representation in the National Assembly, the National Assembly, she has actually done well. She has empowered a lot of people. And moreover, she's a woman. If you ask me, over 70% of votes of Nigerians today are women. And I think asking a woman to take a leadership position in the National Assembly will not only protect the women, but will show a capacity of inclusiveness of the women into the central government. My brother, today, women are so abused in this nation. My mother is a woman. I have sisters. I have relatives who are women. And I think if you allow a woman to be the Speaker of the National Assembly, some level of protection women will find. Just like the last person who was talking, CHIMA, I heard him talk about the position of the government, especially in the Southeast. Women are not protected. And giving opportunity for a woman to head the House of Representatives in the National Assembly will definitely protect the women.
So people will say Southeast for 8 years, from 1999 time. Southeast, almost all the states for Southeast don't get any president. You remember that?
Yeah, I know.
But we'll go back to CHIMA. CHIMA, my brother, you see as if you now, your brother here, they talk say, if they won't give anybody for Southeast any position for fairness, where they give woman will be Princess Miriam, we from Imo State. But you now, they say no need. No need for you see any need for Southeastern to even get anything for this National Assembly leadership of this 10th National Assembly leadership based on what they bring to the table for the last election. CHIMA,
Well, one of the fundamental disagreements I have with my dear brother is that he said that the elections have come and gone. Unfortunately, that is not the truth. The elections have come, but have unfortunately refused to go. There is the election petition tribunal going. Even as we speak today, the election petition tribunal is sitting in that same Abuja, and they will make their decisions eventually. And then after that, the Supreme Court will make their decision. Until the whole gamut of the judicial adjudicatory process is exhausted, you cannot say with a tone of finality that the elections have come and gone. It was only 2 weeks ago that the elections of Washington State came and went because the Supreme Court made a final pronouncement on that. Because the Supreme Court could make a pronouncement that will turn off, the apple cart. So let's situate it properly to say that the elections came and then INEC did not live up to the expectations of many Nigerians, and that many people are petitioning the conduct of
INEC not supposed to give Nigerians what they want. INEC supposed to follow the law. My brother Chima, INEC supposed to follow the law one step at a time. They don't declare results, and the matter they court. After the judgment of the court, we will continue. You understand? We will not use some kind of people feel say INEC need to work. INEC try for you to feel organize election round everywhere for Nigeria at the same time. To come up with a result to present to Nigeria. We suppose still, but we give them kudos to some extent. All right, more yeah.
I think that's a limited expectation. I don't believe that I have been, in fact, I was just coming back from India, the Election Commission of India. Go and look at India's population, and then go and look at the kind of conduct of election, the logistical demands, and then you will see that what we're just doing is just playing the destiny of 200 million. But let's leave it at that and come back to the South. Yes, but the South is, like every other region, is part of Nigeria, part of the constituent part of Nigeria. So when we are discussing leadership, the leadership and the quality of discussions we're having, I don't like it. If this process that he's talking about is preferring solutions and he feels that gender is the most pressing issue facing Nigeria today, I want to hear her arguments on gender. I want to see how she will use her office to improve the lives of women. I want to see sensible views that she's proposing. I want to see them, when we see the views that she's proposing or the kind of ideas that she's proposing, we'll now look at it and say, okay, maybe this argument makes sense. But to tell me that you're a woman and that you're a woman from the Southeast, I mean, it's not a good argument for me. And that's not good enough for me. That's why I say, if you're going to come to the leadership of the National Assembly, for instance, if you are going to discuss the death profile of this country, you cannot discuss the death profile of the country without discussing the National Assembly component of that debt, because our law says that before the nation acquires any debt, that they must have to go through the rigors of the National Assembly. And then if you don't have men and women of integrity in that National Assembly, then they will kowtow to the executive arm of the government. And that is what we saw for 8 years, and that's why the debt profile of this country has ballooned. And as we speak, there is an increasing possibility that there will be another 800 million, debt acquired. We don't know whether that will be passed or not. But you look at the kind of things that are happening. Look at the insecurity in Nigeria. Has the National Assembly deployed the few levels of its office to segment it? Look at the economic situation in Nigeria. Has the National Assembly deployed the few levels of the office? So I am waiting for a sensible argument where people will begin to talk about the problems of the country, the problems facing the ordinary man on the street, the insecurity. Look at what is happening in Taraba, in Plateau, in Benue, in Zamfara. Look at what is happening all across the country. Just 2 or 3 days ago, there was an issue in Ombaro, Anambra State. I am not hearing these people running for office describing how they will use the instruments of their office to tackle these issues. These are the issues facing everyday person. Not that you're a woman, not that you're from the South, or from the South, or from the Southwest. I mean, if you're from the South, does that mean that once you're elected, all the problems of South South will go away? It's just, I don't like this kind of argument, and it is high time the media will begin to set the template for the kind of quality debate and quality conversations we're going to be having. Not that this person is a woman and that she's a South.
But Chima, I ask one question. If as a political party, democracy would always talk of inclusiveness, equity, and fairness to all the regions of that party, you know, say it's supposed to play for the National Assembly leadership.
Come again?
I say for equity, you're not supposed to think say every region supposed to get representatives on the leadership, on the hierarchy of the National Assembly.
Well, if you're going to be talking about equity, why don't you talk about equity really well? The PDP has a constitution. Did it follow it in the last primaries they conducted? And the APC, if it's talking about equity, how can you sustain 8 years of a Muslim Fulani person, and you now follow him up with a Muslim ticket, and you're talking about equity. What are you talking about equity?
No,
It's
the
just
last
that we like paying
administration was a
attention to this
Muslim
issue.
Christian ticket.
If you're
Vice
going to be
President
talking about
was a
equity, why
Christian.
don't you talk about it well? If you're not going to be talking about equity, why don't you discuss competence? If
Can I
you want
come
to discuss equity, equitable distribution of resources of Nigeria, equitable allocation of public offices.
All right,
Then we
all
know
right,
how
make
to discuss those things. But if you don't want to discuss them,
Imam will put mouth for what you
let's
talk
focus on
about. So, bros,
competence.
no, we hear your own side of your argument.
My brother Chima, I think we're being a little bit emotional here. The situation on ground, just like I said, election has come and gone. And if any party feels not right, they can approach the court, which is the process that is happening right now. But I want to say, you cannot discredit finally to say that INEC have not really performed. INEC have done very well indeed. All over the world, there is no perfection in election management. If we have any today, it is just because we are human. And the court should now decide if what INEC said is right or wrong. However, politics is an action, it's an activity of inclusiveness. If you're coming from the south, the east, the west, or the north, as a people, as a family, we must come together to build our nation. The great nations we are seeing today never started in a few days or months or years. Like in America, the democracy is over 100 years. We expect that our practice will give us an opportunity to continue in development. So I think we must take away the sentiment of that we must get it right always. It must be done our own way. And if we don't win, it will now mean as if they rigged us out. What happened in the last election was the will of the people. This issue of religion must also be managed with care. Either a Christian or a Muslim does not really matter. What we're talking about is a Nigerian. And the two people who came from APC are the best. And they were voted in as president and vice president of Nigeria. It is not about religion right now, but we're looking at the performance. And indeed, they are going to perform. I'm only praying that the leadership of my party will give ear to that consideration that the Southeast must be given a better and fair chance, no matter what the situation is in the last election.
I'll come back to Chima. Chima, when you talk about Southeastern, I will see people like former governor of Abia State, Oju Zokalu, you see Senator Osita Izunazu. You don't see these men as people who get capacity to fit lead the National Assembly. I really want to know from you, because they say every region for Nigeria get people of capacity. Now say the people from the Southeast, they have to bring out people of capacity to govern them, because the former governor of Abia State did that. You understand? That means you see, say the party, they bring out their best when they project people as candidates to raise the flag of their party each time that they try to do primaries or after primaries.
Well, one of the distinctions that I would implore us to make in our conversation is when a region nominates someone, and when someone nominates himself and he wants to drag the whole region into it. There was nobody in the Southeast that sat down and discussed and said, let us make our candidate, or our candidate. That meeting never occurred. There was no such discussion. That I can guarantee you. If there were discussions like that, let them produce evidence. What I can see is that Oju Zokalu wants to become the Senate president, and he is well in his rights to aspire to become the Senate president, like every other of the 109 senators we have in Nigeria. And they have their laws as to who is qualified. Eminently, he is qualified, but he is by no means a candidate of the Southeast. He is incidentally coming from the Southeast does not mean that the Southeast is presenting him to come and represent us in the Senate. That should be distinguished between a region is nominating someone and someone is nominating himself and wants to drag the whole region into it. If Oju Zokalu wants to campaign for the office of the Senate president, and I believe that he should, I want to see a vigorous campaign from him. He should lobby his colleagues to support him. He should offer them reasons why they should support him. If he wants to do public media engagement, he should tell the media why he thinks he's the best. He should tell us why we should root for him. The discussion about that is coming from the Southeast, to me, does not hold water. Because if you're going to be discussing that, you ask yourself, Between the past 8 years, what are the most issues that are facing the ordinary man of the South? When you talk about security, what did all these Dokalo use his powers to do on issues of security? Now you talk about issue of restructuring. Where is this man on restructuring? Then you talk about the more recent issue of election management. There were a time when the election management law was being debated in the National Assembly. You would hear this same Orji Dokalo stand up to say that his village does not have network, because we were discussing online voting, online transmission of voting, and ways to limit the technical compromise of elections. This same man voted against that bill. Interestingly, that bill passed with some form of modifications, not the kind of proposed modifications, and that's why you saw all the discrepancies we saw. If the original version of the bill that was presented was passed, some of the issues you saw in that election would not have happened. But let's move on from that. What is Nnamdi Kanu doing about, Mazi Orji Dokalo doing about the several issues facing the ordinary Southeasterner? I have not had sensible public policy offerings from him on these issues. You will see unknown government beheading people, you will not hear him. You will see kidnappers rampaging the entire region, you will not hear him speak. You will see the death of federal presence in the region, you will not hear him speak. But today, just because it has become convenient for him to manufacture that Southeasterner, he has already manufactured an identity and is claiming to be a Southeasterner, and now he's now campaigning
a former governor of a southeastern state. A former governor of a southeastern state, you not manufacture the identity. And a governor. Thank you, Chima Christian. I thank you very much, because time not that aside. We could let you rest so that we will continue from here and join our Benin Network station later. Thank you very much for your time, Chima.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, brother. Bros, you know to the talk here now. Because the Southeastern and the National Assembly, when matters they rise like that, they need to come out and talk. So now we don't reach time for elective positions. The fee say that the only opportunity, he said they manufacture their identity. How you see that kind of claim? Now manufacturing, or you just talk based on say.
Just like I said to the young man Chima, he's been emotional. I may also not blame him. Maybe, I don't know where he's coming from, but wherever he's coming from, he's talking from the angle of disadvantage. And as a people, we cannot live on to this. We must join with other Nigerians to build Nigeria. There's no way we can talk down on our own and expect anybody to see us very serious. I think, as a Southeasterner, we must protect our own. We must encourage them. We must pray for them as leaders so that they can join in the League of Leaders and work together and develop our country called Nigeria. Having said that, I know that the leadership of APC will do the best by giving that opportunity to Southeasterners to be part of the leadership of the 10th National Assembly.
So now you feel now say the woman now fits occupy that position well as a speaker?
Yeah, you can see. She have a dual opportunity. One as a Southeasterner, two as a woman. If you give a woman one and give her a few hours, she will convert it to two.
So you're not sure say men now, men will converse with you, say you support women. You know how you feel say you come there with your friends, they call the support woman. When you say you go to support person like say other men with the contest, like call the support woman, leave men like us.
Yeah, but if you listen to the president-elect some few days back, he said it very clearly that he wouldn't want the leadership of the National Assembly to come from the angle of individuals who have EFCC matters or some issues to be discussed about. I think one of those reasons should be why Miriam Ona should be given an opportunity. Not just a woman, she has done very, very well as a legislator. And she is also a trained professional. If you give her that opportunity, she'll be at that top to make Nigeria proud. Just like you can see today, the issue of the striking doctors. All we need is a better legislature to carry on all the activities of the arms of government. And the issue of striking, the position of not getting things done right, will all be a story not to be remembered. So I think giving Princess Miriam Onoha an opportunity will bring a better 10th National Assembly.
Maybe we see how it will be, because that one is your own opinion. People do, they talk their own different people, they come out. They say North Central need Wase, first deputy speaker now, in get experience, some people feel say now in suppose fit that shoe. Make we see whether our Benin network, whether Thomas Sado will get any question we want to ask, because as it be like this now, okay, so you not get question. You understand? Because some people, they say northeast, southeast, then get Senate president like 5. I be like, how many people for all the southeast? Ebonyi get, Abia get,
Imo
get,
Anambra.
everybody feel them. So if they talk of statement, they carry them along for politics for Nigeria. It be like say they forget so soon. See, man, they don't get High Empire, they don't get to Kadigbo, they don't get which one they get name them now for everywhere. So how you feel now? Say okay, they're gonna say this 10th assembly, they're gonna say make Southeasterners rest, make other region take up. How you go feel as a party man?
As a party man, if my party comes up and say Southeasterners will get a better position for you outside the 10th National Assembly, I will advise my people to hold on. We want to give Bola Ahmed Tinubu an opportunity to replicate what he did in Lagos. If you watch the man taking over the government, I don't see him like a normal man. I see him like an extraordinary person, because he's not going to go into the issue of tribe, states, whatever. I am sure he's going to take the best. Wherever the best is coming from, there you will find Tinubu Ahmed. And I want to tell you, what will happen in the incoming government will surprise Nigerians. He's going to go for the best to make Nigeria come back what it used to be. And I want to tell you today, take it to the bank. God have blessed Nigeria by giving us that person, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as the president of Nigeria.
But why some people feel say age that factor?
What has age of Methuselah got to do with the wisdom of Solomon?
It's another pastor. Politicians, as soon as they do.